Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and before you say what in the whole hell is she thinking, I'm playing with some new lipstick that I got today, and I just didn't feel like taking this off. So this is what I'm wearing for this video. I am pre-recording my TBR for 2016. Now, don't think I'm crazy. I am not planning out my entire TBR for the year of 2016, but as I was thinking about reading goals and what I wanted to do and trying to tackle some of the books that are on my shelf, because as many of you who are subscribed to my channel and who are avid readers can attest to, I'm sure, you buy books because you want to read books, but before you get to those books, other books get in the way, and as other books come, those books you bought get pushed back and further back, and it just takes forever for you to get to them. And it doesn't mean that you don't want to read them, it just means there's so many books coming out, and that's a good thing. But pretty much for the year of 2016, for what I have seen so far that are anticipated releases, which I don't really follow a lot of, so that's also a good thing. There are only 2 or 3 books that I'm really looking forward to, and they are being released in January and February, and one is a graphic novel, so that will be a quick read, and then the second is not a graphic novel, so it will take a little longer to read, but I wanted to put out here and have it stated that these are the books that I definitely want to get to in 2016 above everything else. So it's not a lot of books, so I have a lot of room to read other books during the course of the year, but these are the ones that I just definitely want to get to. We're going to start with the ones that are on my shelf. First we have The Daylight War by Peter V. Brett. This is the 3rd book in the Demon Cycle series, and I delayed in reading this, I said in a video that I uploaded the last week of December. I delayed in reading this because I didn't want to have so much time between when I read this and when The Skull Throne, which is the 4th book, would be available in mass market paperback. So I already did reread The Desert Spear, and while enjoying the rereading experience, I did not want to have to reread every book in this series in order to continue with the series. Then Hood by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is a book that I was so happy to find at Thrift Books. I saw the 2nd book in the series at Ollie's probably 2 or 3 years ago, and it was 2 years ago, and I wanted to pick it up, but I didn't want to pick up the 2nd book in the series without first buying the 1st book. And in all of my efforts of trying to find this book, I could only find it on Amazon at the time when I was searching for the regular price. And the regular price was like $13 when the 2nd book was at Ollie's for $2.99 or $3.99. And I said, no, that's not happening. So what ended up happening is I got all 3 books in the trilogy from Thrift Books for the cost that I was only able to find for Hood. Next is Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I have wanted to read something by her for quite some time, but I didn't want to read the things that were, you know, so hyped. I haven't come by a lot of talk about it, and I haven't read anything about this. I'm going to go into this completely blind. Rincey actually recently uploaded a review of this at the point when I'm uploading this video, and I haven't even looked at her review because I want to go into this blind and really take on my first read by this author without having anything about this particular novel in my head. Then we have The Map of Time by Felix, I want to call him De Palma so bad. Felix J. Palma, and this is a historical fiction time travel novel, and it is the 1st book in, I believe, what is a trilogy. The 3rd book has been released, but it's not in paperback yet. I actually bought the 2nd book from Book Outlet in hardback, so it really shouldn't matter. Then we have The 52nd by Dela. I wanted to read this during Halloween, during the month of October, and I never got to it just because I had quite a few things going on, and I had a very ambitious TBR for the month of October, and I just never got to this. And it's a story of possession, human sacrifice, and Aztec tradition that takes place on the Yucatan Peninsula. Then we have Invasion of the Chilling by Erica Johansson. It took me forever to make The Queen of the Tearling a priority. And even after putting it on my TBR, it still took me 3 months to read it. Again, books got in the way. But I finally read it, and I want to read this before too much of The Queen of the Tearling gets out of my head. So this is a definite read in 2016. And last on this particular list is Balm by Dolan Perkins Valdez. This is the author of Wench. I got this in June of 2015 and haven't read it because the library got in the way. And so I definitely want to read this. I will probably read this in February. The second part of this video are the books that I wanted to read because people that I follow and whose opinions I trust on YouTube have really enjoyed these novels, and so I wanted to try them out. The first half of this list are books that I actually have on my shelf. I bought them when I first started hearing about them, and I just haven't read them yet. The first is Mistress of Rome by Kate Quinn, and I heard about this through Kayla over at Bookadoodles, and she just talked about how much she really enjoyed this. And I want to say Estelle at Odom Entha, who's disappeared from the YouTube first, but if you follow her on Instagram, she's there, read this, and it did not strike the same chord with her as it struck with Kayla, and those two differing opinions really made me want to read this. So I decided to pick it up a few months after I initially saw Kayla's video where she listed her some of her favorite reads. And yeah, and that was, Kayla, if you're watching this, you put that video up a long time ago. And I bought this a few months after, and I still haven't read it yet. Then I have The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which I purchased on my recent visit to 2nd and Charles, my first visit to 2nd and Charles. And I have been wanting to read this and pick this up for a while. Oh my God, there's a postcard in here. Oh, that's so cool. There's a postcard in here from France with a picture of the Moulin Rouge. And no, this was not addressed. This is addressed to somebody. I guess they were using this as a bookmark. I don't know. Yeah, I might return this to them. I digress. There are so many people who have read this and really enjoyed it. This is not the cover that gets the most visibility on YouTube, and so I almost missed it when I went to pick it up in 2nd and Charles, but I didn't. Next is You by Carolyn Kepnes, which was read by Chapter Stacks and Conrad over at Just a Dust Jacket. I think the name of his channel has actually changed, but that's always what pops into my head. Both of them enjoyed this story. It's a psychological thriller. I kind of spaced out my psychological thrillers. This one I definitely want to get to in 2016, just because it's recent and people are still currently reading this, and I want to be able to participate in the joy of this and to talk about this while it's still on people's minds. I live so much of my reading life on the backlist, which is fine, but just when you're participating in this kind of community, it's enjoyable to be able to read a book along with the community. So I want to get to this pretty soon. And then I have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I actually decided to read this because of Caitlin over at Kitty G, who loves Robin Hobb. She's read all of her novels to date, and what actually made me want to pick this up was when she did her review of Fool's Fate. She called it her best ever book. So after hearing that kind of gushing review from her, and she's very, very good at reviewing, and every review is not a gushing review. And even in the books by authors that she really likes and loves, if there are things in the book that just don't resonate with her, she's found the happy medium to be able to express that as well as talk about the book. And I've heard her say so many good things about this, but Robin Hobb's novels are all written in succession and the universes intertwined, so as her writing progresses. So this is the first book she ever wrote, and so I wanted to start here and then do every series on through from the first book she wrote to the most recent. I think there are 12 books in all. This will be the only one that I will be buying because they are massive. So these will be library reads. The next books on this list are books that I don't own, but I will be borrowing from the library. Spoiler alert for library hauls in the future. The first is The Bronze Horseman. I don't know who that's by, but the reason why I want to read it is because Reagan over at Peruse Projects really liked it, and she mentioned it in one of the videos about book to movie adaptations that she did, and how much she enjoyed the novel and what could go into the movie adaptation of it. The second book in the series, I didn't know was a second book in the series, and I almost bought it a few months ago after seeing it because, like, one of the characters' names is Tatiana, and I just am stupid. And when I see my name on shit, I want it. So I almost bought it, and I didn't. And I'm glad that I didn't, because it was the second book in a series, so that would have irked me. But I want to pick up The Bronze Horseman. I also want to pick up Corregidora by Gail Jones, and that is because of the wonderful review that was done by Dee Dee over at Frenchie D, and also Dominique at the Storyscape has read this, and both of them had very good things. I think it's Dominique. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But both of them have had very good things to say about the book, and so as soon as I heard their takes on it, their review, I put it on my mental TBR list. Then we have The Architect's Apprentice by Elif Shafak, and that was reviewed gushingly by Rincey over at Rincey Reads, and I actually saw videos of her talking about this while she was in the process of reading the novel, and every time she talked about it, she had something good to say. Aside from the fact that the cover is gorgeous, it just sounded like a really interesting and different book for me to read, so that's what made me add that. Then we have Anything by Zadie Smith. I have heard Zadie Smith's name so much over the course of 2015 that I just said I need to read something by this author, anything by this author. I haven't heard anyone who has read something by this author who have been disappointed. So I just need to pick her up. Now, the third part of this video is the books that are to be released in 2016 that I definitely want to pick up and read. And there are only two. And the first is a graphic novel, and that is Volume 5 of the Lazarus series by a whole bunch of authors. One is Greg Rucka, another, Rucka, Lark, and like 3 other people. There are a lot of people who are contributing to this graphic novel series, and it's so good. It's one of those series that I picked up because I was in a frivolous purchase mood, and the cover of the first one is a girl with a bullet hole in the front of her head, and she just looks like fierce. Volume 5 is supposed to be coming out in January. I hope it comes out in January because originally it had a 2015 release date, and that didn't happen. And the last book that I'm going to mention in this video is to be released in February 2016, and right now it is my most anticipated read of 2016, and I hope beyond hope that I am not disappointed. But when I heard about this novel, I just had to get it, and that is The Queen of the Night by Alexander Chee. It is the story of a opera singer in, I want to say Italy, I may have the place wrong, next. And she's trying to make a name for herself, and one of the ways that you make a name for yourself in the opera community, just as like if you're a ballet dancer as well, is you have someone, a composer, makes an opera that's meant just for you. They write an opera for you. And for those of you who don't know or haven't heard me say before, the reason why my YouTube name is Musical Tati is because I sing and I am Tatiana. But yeah, my background is primarily gospel and jazz, and that changed when I got to college, and I got into singing opera and loved it. And while I've always liked opera, I never really had an inclination to sing it until I had no choice in order to graduate. So I absolutely loved it. And so to hear about this, anyway, back to the synopsis. The way that you make your name is someone, or you know that you've made your name, is someone composes an opera that is made exactly for you, and you are the principal person. You're the first person to ever sing it and give it its popularity, and there is an opera singer who is the main character of the story, who that's what she's been working towards all of her career, and it hasn't happened yet. And then it finally happens, and when it happens, it's all her dirty laundry. Put to score for everyone to hear as she sings it. And from what I understand, she's only shared the things that are in this opera with 3 people. And those 3 people are not one of the people who composed the opera. So the question is, which of these 3 people have betrayed her confidence and put all her skeletons out on the ground for somebody to see and put into operatic format? And I am so looking forward to this novel. This is in every spoke of my wheelhouse. I cannot wait. So yeah, those are the books that are on my mental TBR for 2016. There's room for many other books to make their way in, but I don't want those books to overshadow the books that are on this list. But that's all that I have for today. I hope that wasn't too long for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and have a good weekend whenever you see this video. Peace out.